Here in the West, especially us conscious people, we hear religion. Automatically we're thinking, oh, religion is a tool to dumb people down, and it can be used that way. How about the idea that we're catching up to where humanity once was in a previous cycle? Well, our idea of transhumanism is bioenergetic transhumanism. We don't need the machine.
Don't need it.
Just develop the discipline and the methodologies to develop it in you.
Exactly.
You know?
We all have these gifts.
Yes.
We just forgot how to open our packages.
Ancient teaching that is now considered by Western thinkers dogmatic, archaic, unscientific. Quantum mechanics is now breaking all that up and showing, tearing it up.
I love it.
Tearing it up, you know? And so it's beautiful. Like for instance, even with the Moore Science Temple of America, you know, like I said, I'm the National Press Secretary for the organization under the leadership of Brother R. Jones Bay. And it's when we hear in the West, especially us conscious people, we hear religion. Automatically we're thinking, oh, religion is a tool to dumb people down, and it can be used that way.
Yes.
And it has been used that way, yes. But as you know, one of the biggest issues with the status quo and disclosure, the reluctance to do so, is to maintain stability and control of society.
Correct.
And the number one issue they say, you know, that they say, you know, is the linchpin for that is religious ideology. So the question now becomes, is there or could there ever be a religious ideology that accepts and embraces disclosure? You know, off-world intelligence, you know, these types of things, free energy, you know, and these things. You know what I mean? Yeah.
That's huge. And so how did this religion form? How did it come together?
Wow. So the Moore Science Temple of America is the first Islamic organization in America. It got started in 1913.
Wow.
Now, here's what's interesting about that a lot of people don't know. In 1912, you had a man named Dus Muhammad Ali. He was a Sudanese-born Egyptian brother. And he started, in the end of 1912, he started a newsletter called Africa Times and Orient Review. And it highlighted articles that spoke out against Euro-colonialism in African and Asian nations, right? And then we're talking 1912, so you're talking like Manifest Destiny was like in second gear. It was really revving up. But guess who some of the guest editors and guest writers were for this thing? C.W. Ledbetter.
Wow.
Annie Besant. H.G. Wells.
Wow.
So who was this man connected to, you see?
Huge.
Right. And so that's in 1912. And then in the beginning of 1913, you got another man teaching out of a barbershop in Newark, New Jersey. And that was the origin. That was Noble Drew Ali's origin. That was his start. It was at 181 Warren Street, downtown Newark, New Jersey, teaching or beginning this ideology that became an entire movement by the 1920s, and that was the Moore Science Temple of America.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, one of the things I knew, you know, with Islam, and with the mothership, it's one of the reasons why I can really, more than any other religion, I can kind of vibe with them, just because they have the acceptance and understanding that mankind, this version of mankind on this planet, the be-all, end-all, there's something else out there that exists, and maybe we're directly connected to that thing, right?
To your point, that's something that's very powerful. So, as you know, with your studies and your research, it forces a change in narrative, a change in how you think, right? So, we say in the Moore Science Temple of America, we measure time by cycle ages. In other words, time is cyclical, not linear. Well, the average Westerner thinks of time in a linear fashion. So it's very difficult for us to say, okay, well, wait a minute. If humanity is at its most advanced point as it's ever been from a linear perspective, but then you run into pyramids and you run into all this stuff that even today you can't build. And so rather than consider the possibility that your narrative is wrong, you'll say that other people, all right, you see, right?
That's wrong and that's wrong. Your idea about this it's a myth, it's this, it's that. No, No, we're wrong. We can't duplicate this.
How about the idea that we're catching up to where humanity once was in a previous cycle?
Exactly.
See? So it forces a change of narrative. It's like the diffusionism versus isolationism question when it comes to archaeology and anthropology. The West or the New World in America, we're taught that, okay, well, it was just a bunch of savages here.
Yeah.
Right? And then you see evidence of ancient Egyptian artifacts in southern Illinois, and also with Burroughs Cave, and also, in the Grand Canyon region.
Yeah.
And rather than accept the obvious,
they'd rather push dogma to skew the perception of everyone, to bend it to their understanding and their ideology, versus accepting what the physical evidence is showing us and saying, hey, we need to dig a little bit deeper into what happened. But they won't do that. The reason why is because predominantly they feel like they would lose their grip on control.
Brother, you hit it right on the nose. See, the narrative, there's secret information, but more importantly, it's narrative. Mm-hmm. That's the secret.
Yes.
If, narrative is what gives us, you remember like the old days where you had, you have those puzzles with landscapes, and then there's like 1,000 pieces. Yeah. Dump all the pieces out of the box, but you need the box because the box gives you the narrative. Mm-hmm. Without the box, you're not putting that thing together.
You got nothing. You have no perspective.
Thank you. Yeah. Exactly. So narrative is secret. Narrative is the secret, and things like quantum mechanics, David Bohm's work, Maywan Ho's work, busting all of that stuff up, and where they're providing solid, hard science from a Western perspective that validates what ancient cultures were saying for thousands of years.
Yeah, that's the thing. And there's so much validation. But man, and people always say to me, well, if this is so true, then where's all the evidence? I'm like, you're standing on it.
Literally standing on it. But we've been trained to think a particular way.
Yeah.
Like, one of the biggest, relative to narrative, the current narrative and worldview we live in, one of the biggest issues in history that we all have heard about, we just didn't understand the details and didn't understand how it affects us.
Yeah.
The Spanish Inquisition. Mm-hmm. The Spanish Inquisition in the late 15th century began the elimination of an entire way to think.
Yes.
Yeah. An entire way to think. Peter Tompkins, he's a writer out of England. He wrote a book called Mysteries of the Mexican Pyramids. And in the book, he talks about the Spanish Inquisition, and he says how the Spanish Inquisition, made the church rich, and it got rid of troublemakers.
Yeah.
And you know what the troublemakers were that he says in his book? Those who taught chemistry, mathematics, physics, and these sciences in Moorish universities like Cordova and Seville, whose libraries were destroyed. Yeah. He said, because of this, you couldn't write, speak, or even think without considering the fires and the torture racks of the Holy Office.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying?
People had to do stuff in secret. Yes. And hide it and write it in code and encryption. Yes. Just so they wouldn't get burned at the stake or killed or murdered or have their families tortured or have the entire village killed.
The entire village killed, that's right. Because again, the bigger picture, what it was, they were trying to destroy and kill a way to think.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
the Inquisitions. People, when people tell me, man, it's the end of days, you better get right with the Lord. And I'm like, do you know about the Inquisitions?
Wow.
Do you know that almost 80 million people were tortured, murdered, and slaughtered,
brother,
over the course of several hundred years?
It's so powerful. It's so crazy that you bring that up. The statement "end of the world."
Right.
There's a man named James Reston Jr. He's a historian. He's actually worked for government as an advisor. He wrote a book called "The Dogs of God," and again, talking about cyclical time.
Yeah.
In 1477, 1478. This is deep. Now, first, let's set the backdrop. In Spain and Portugal and Andalusia during that time period, the backdrop was this. That whole area was ruled by an African nation for nearly 800 years. It's the truth. And what you had is what's called the Reconquista. So you had the Euro Christians trying to retake Europe. But during that time period, right, that was the beginning of the Spanish Inquisition.
Yeah.
That was also the beginning of the very first modern nation state on the planet.
Wow.
Spain. Two kingdoms coming together to form a nation.
Yeah.
And that was Aragon and Castile with the marriage of Isabella and Ferdinand. You know what they called it? The Euro West called that marriage? The second coming of Christ. Do you know what the Africans there called it? The end of the world. Isn't that crazy? Oh, it's wild, you know. Yeah. It's wild.
Some scientists, engineers did a study on the time period of the Moors and Islamic people.
Yes.
And they realized prior to the Inquisition, we were advancing technologically so fast that we would have been on the moon in the 1800s.
Glad you brought that up, brother.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you brought that up.
Ended all of that. We are far behind. We're just barely beginning to start to catch up to where we should have been a very long time ago.
That's a huge point, you know. Wow. So there's a field of technology that even now is kind of dicey to speak about publicly. And when I say the name, you're going to go, oh yeah, radionics.
Okay.
Yeah. So, you know, when you're talking about consciousness-assisted technology.
Yeah, that's where we're going now. Absolutely.
It's here.
That's what they had in the ancient past.
That was my point. And that was exactly my point. I did a presentation actually for Brother Rich where there is literally a machine that's kept in a British museum that was put together by an African Islamic scientist in the 14th century. Good. And it was designed to detect ley lines and dragon lines. Yeah, telluric forces in the earth. Yeah. You know, so, you know, and it's, again, consciousness assisted, you know, technology, you know, psychotronics, radionics, these things. We had these things back then.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
They're just now rediscovering this. I just saw an article. In the last 3 months, a few things happened. One, they were able to, in a laboratory setting, have someone go to sleep and go into a dream, and then reach out to them in their dream state and give them information for them to bring back when they woke up. They also took two people and they allowed them, through a crown that they put on their head.
Yes.
Had, you know, basic EEG technology, and allowed them to sync their minds so they could send information back and forth like psychic powers.
That's right.
Now they're working on telekinesis. So I have a video I showed in one of my my biggest presentations I've ever done.
Yes.
And they have the same type of a crown that they put on you,
Absolutely.
Right? It just sits right on the head, and from here, from the frontal lobe, it picks up the brain waves, and you can control remote control cars. You can control appliances in your house.
Yes.
You can turn lights off and on. All of that from conscious thought. You can type on a keyboard just
from thinking.
Right. Yeah.
That's huge. See, you know, I had mentioned having an interest early on, you know, in certain occult orders and esoteric orders. I'm a member of a few of them as a result. I'm a member of the OTOA. It's called the Ordo Templi Orientis Antiqua, right? And a few others as well. And this was my direct access to certain people in certain special access programs.
Nice.
Because they recruit directly out of some of these organizations and orders. And so what you're speaking about are there's actual methodologies in a number of these secret orders that address those issues and develop those abilities. You know, this isn't even, people know about this now with the release of Stargate.
Yeah.
With Project Stargate and that material, where it's like, wait a minute, this is stuff that, you know, we've been dealing with this type of stuff for decades.
Esoteric wisdom.
It's esoteric wisdom. We see it as, we call it technology.
Yeah.
You know, our ancient forefathers called it technology. In the West, we don't see the human mechanism as an instrument of technology that can be advanced.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so there was a whistleblower I was watching recently who had direct experience with psi programs, special access programs, where they're using people with a predisposition to psychic ability. They call it P3.
Okay.
Right? To contact and manipulate UAPs.
Wow. Nice.
Yes.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of videos about that, actually.
Yes, sir.
And it's real.
Very real.
Very real.
Very real.
Yeah.
That's right. And but again, this is for us, it's ancient. It's old, right? And an organization like the Moorish Science Temple of America is set up to reintroduce and say, well, this stuff is not new, it's old, and it's a part of your legacy.
Yeah.
This is a part of your birthright.
Absolutely.
To develop, there's the term transhumanism, and it's kind of been hijacked with the whole, man-machine interface idea, right? Well, our idea of transhumanism is bioenergetic transhumanism. We don't need the machine.
Don't need it.
Just develop the discipline and the methodologies to develop it in you.
Exactly.
We
all have these gifts.
Yes.
We just forgot how to open our packages.
Come on, brother.
And so everyone's born with this junk DNA. That's more word salad for you.
Isn't it?
They just program you. Oh, it's junk. We don't use it. It's just laying around in there. It has no purpose whatsoever.
Right.
Meanwhile, now finally some mainstream scientists are finally coming forward saying, wait a minute, this ain't junk.
It's not junk.
This stuff really is plugged in and it really does things. Everyone's, is naturally born with psychic abilities.
Everyone.
Kinesis, higher levels of intuition and all these things.
That's right.
But because of the programming code and epigenetics, we've been taught to think that we're just a biological body.
Yes.
But this body is really technology.
Come on, brother.
Enhanced with spiritual energy.
Come on, exactly. And spirit, that's the other thing too. We've been miseducated to believe that science and religion, right, are non-compatible.
Right. Exactly.
Right?
That's the biggest problem.
Yeah, it's a huge problem. Yeah. So if we're talking about anything non-material, then it's spooky.
Yeah.
Right? And that's crazy. But once again, quantum mechanics is busting all of that up.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about, for instance, now I'm just speaking pure quantum mechanics, when you're talking about quantum entanglement, you're talking about collapsing a waveform, which is a probability, into particle form, which is an event.
Right.
Right? Yeah. Quantum physicists say the thing that makes that happen is what they call a quantum operator. You know what a quantum operator is? Human belief.
That's right.
That's it. It's the will.
That's it.
But we can develop, and again, we do this in my, not just in my religious organization, but in my martial arts training. The will is omnipotent.
Yes.
You just have to develop it and train it. It takes discipline. Yeah. We know lots of people that want the beach body, but they don't want to get up off the couch. You know what I mean? Right. And even a religious analogy is apt here when it comes to that. We think from a fitness perspective, and it fits, in the topic. We think that lifting weights, for instance, makes our muscles bigger. It doesn't.
No.
Lifting weights doesn't make your muscles bigger. Jogging doesn't increase your endurance. It breaks it down.
Yes.
But so the religious analogy is right in our face. The death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus. You see what I'm saying? I want the new body.
Yeah.
But all I have to work with is the old body. So what I got to do? Break down the old body. I got to break it down. That's what catabolic means. Right. So it's not me lifting the weights. That destroys muscle tissue. It's when I put the building blocks in and then go to sleep so that the workers can work and rebuild.
Yeah.
It's literally death, burial, and resurrection.
Yep.
That's the formula.
Everything's a fractal.
Absolutely.
Fractal.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And so, it's the same thing with the will. We can train like Chinese martial arts. You got these little guys that have 5,000 plus year history.
Yeah.
Bordered on their north, west, and south by people twice their size. How did they survive 5,000 years?
Yeah.
Well, a lot of them died in the process, but they learned a lot. One of the biggest things they learned is that, we could build this, but there's limits to that.
Yeah.
But there's no limits to building this.
Right.
And the big part about that is this. This can have a direct effect on this. And that's what they understood. See, so they built this and they realized you could build the will just like you build a bicep.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
But it takes discipline. First, it takes belief. Like with what we call bioenergy or internal energy and things like that. We think, you know, in the old days, they would say, oh, it takes 15 years to learn it and master it. No, it takes about 8 years just to believe. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it takes about 8 years just for you to accept that it's real, you know, and that you could train something intangible just like you could train something tangible, and then train the intangible thing to affect tangible things.
That's the power.
Yes, sir.
That's when you're walking in your power.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's when you're walking in your power. And that's our legacy. You know, that's our legacy right there. And that's what we're inviting people to do.
Yeah.
You know, you really want to have the late Malidoma Some spoke to this. Are you familiar with him?
No.
Malidoma Some, incredible. He was a world famous spiritualist. World famous. He was invited to speak at the Vatican.
Wow.
And so one of my colleagues in our organization was an initiate under him.
Okay.
And he would say, before he passed away, he said, listen, I finally realized why I'm here. I'm here to help you all and arm you all so that you can prevail and you can be who you're supposed to be. Then he said this, he said, your ancestors are waiting for your instructions.
Wow.
And this one sister said, well, why don't they listen to our prayers? You know what he said?
What?
They don't recognize your voice. You've been over like slaves. That's what he said. So they don't recognize it. You know what I mean?
See, they're looking for the frequency.
Come on.
That's the understanding. So
yes.
I talked about this the other day, you know, and it's unfortunate, yes, slavery, you know, it did exist.
Yeah.
It existed for every race on the planet, too.
Thank you. Glad you said that.
Black people are the most recent.
Yes.
You know, every race has been enslaved at one point.
Yes.
But the mindset of allowing the domination and control, you know, some people say, I'm the slave that would have jumped off the ship, but I feel like I'm the slave that would have never got on the boat.
How about that?
I'm going to die on the land.
How about that?
You see?
I'm glad you see that's the other part of that's very special and precious about the Moorish Science Symbol of America. So there is hidden knowledge, there is hidden history, but it's hidden to prevent you from seeing another narrative. Like, for instance, to your point, the founder of the Moorish Science Symbol of America, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, says, due to sin and disobedience, every nation suffered slavery. But here's the big difference. Not one other nation of people besides us have been compelled to identify with a former condition of servitude.
True.
That's the difference, right?
That's the difference.
So, you know, with the history piece, we're taught or conditioned or socialized to believe that we were this great people that built pyramids, and then all of a sudden we just got snatched off out of our land and thrown on. How?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
We were taught that slavery was a condition of commerce and trade. No. We were taught, so for instance, we mentioned about the Spanish Inquisition, right? Very few people in Africana studies and African history can pinpoint the exact thing that began the African transatlantic slave trade. Wow. It began in the year 1442 with the Pope Eugene IV. He signed and authorized a papal bull called Ilias Q.A. And what it was wartime. It was a crusade. That's what it was. It was a part of the amping up the Reconquista to get us out of Spain. The very first African slaves did not come from the continent. They came from Spain.
Where the Moors were.
That's it. I have that very same colleague that I said is a student of Malidoma Some ran into some Lebanese brothers, and they were getting something to eat at the mall, and they saw him with his fez on.
Yeah.
They said, "Why are you wearing that?" He goes, "Well, it's part of my culture. It's part of my religion, my spiritual, faith tradition, and a part of my culture."
Yeah.
And they said, "Well, what is it?" He says, "Well, I'm a Moorish American." And they go, "I'm not. What do you mean, the Moors? You don't look like the Moors, Africa, and the Moors, Morocco." They go, He said, Spain. He goes, "Oh yeah, the Lebanese brothers said this." They said, oh, you mean the ancestor of the African American?
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah. How do you know that? He goes, yeah, we learned that in school.
Yeah.
But then they asked him, they said, but how did you know? Because we know they keep it from you.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So, and so we in the Moral Science Temple of America, when it comes to this kind of history or this aspect of history, we don't claim this to be the totality of our history as a people. It's only part of our history, but it's a crucial part, because when you tie together something that's been broken, you don't tie it here. You tie it where it was broken.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? That's where you tie it at. And so that's missing history for us. Lynching culture in America for African Americans, that was part of the Inquisition. That's Inquisition culture.
Yes, it is. Exactly.
You see? Yeah.
This transition to America.
There you go.
During the Manifest Destiny.
There you go. The brother, I mentioned the writer Peter Tompkins in his book, Mysteries of the Mexican Pyramids. When he was talking about the Spanish Inquisition, he has a woodcut picture in there. And it says, the caption of it says, in anticipation or to deter opposition for the Inquisition, in New Spain, 34 Negroes were hanged and decapitated in Mexico City.
Wow.
So that's crazy. So first of all, it's like, wait a minute. That presumes a couple things. It presumes that there were people in the New World in significant enough numbers to cause some problems about something happening on the other side of the pond.
We were already here.
See, this is amazing stuff, and even like with the invention of or the discovery of hair follicle testing, and then they ran some tests on Egyptian pharaohs, and what did they find? Cocaine. The only place you could find it on the planet,
South America.
There you go.
Yeah.
So it showed for at least 10,000 years there was cross-cultural pollination across the Atlantic.
There's no doubt about it.
There you go.
The Olmecs came from Africa
Yes.
down into South America and helped build that entire Teotihuacan civilization.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Once again, and you've been down there, you've seen these things, and again, these are things, these are legacies of technology that can't be duplicated today.
Yeah.
So it was a mindset that was on the scene that could produce these things. So back to what you said about, we would have been on the moon.
Yeah.
Right? There was a German or Austrian national by the name of Rudolf von Sabbatendorf. Rudolf von Sabbatendorf was a veteran of World War I.
Okay.
World War I, Germany took a beating. And that, because of that beating, is what gave rise to extreme German nationalism, which gave rise to Nazism.
Right.
Well, he had some friends in secret orders that introduced him to a very secretive order in Istanbul, Turkey, called the Bektashi Sufis, Islamic order.
Yeah.
He joins them. He learns their secrets, returns back to Germany, and starts his own secret society based on what he learned.
Yeah.
And that was the Thule Society.
Yeah, that's huge.
Okay, so you already see the connection, especially with exotic technologies, because now you have the Thule and then the Vril Society.
Yeah,
right.
Ria Orsic.
Okay, you already know. You already know.
That's great. Tell him.
That's right. So Maria Orsic is how the German Workers' Party, which later became the Nazi Party, and the German Workers' Party is the political arm of the Thule Society.
Yes.
So it's through her channeling. It's through her channeling that they received technology, blueprints, and schematics for their anti-gravity program.
Yeah, incredible schematics and technology. Engineering like no other, all channeled, written down on paper, and then actually put into real engineers' hands to replicate.
That's literally what happened. Yeah. And so this is powerful because, of course, because it was channeled, the presumption is aliens. See, now we have to rethink what even the alien thing means, right? So there's this scientist by the name of Hal Puthoff.
Yeah.
You familiar with Hal?
Oh, no, Hal, yeah.
He wrote a paper not too long ago called Ultra-Terrestrial Models.
That was my next question. Right here. Next question.
So those in the know, especially in the intelligence communities, rather than use the word extraterrestrial, use ultra-terrestrial, because the travel is far less of an issue of physical distance.
Right.
The travel is vibratory, from one dimension to another.
Nice.
Right? And so that's more accurate. That is more accurate.
Yeah.
But back with Maria Osric, the presumption is, green men from Mars, right? Instead of ultra-terrestrials,
right?
Beings that, from a terrestrial perspective, were probably here longer than us on Earth. They're homegrown.
Yeah.
And that's a big secret.
Yeah.
Huge.
I mean, there's a lot of, there is not a lot. There's some evidence of this.
Yes.
There's things like the Ubaid culture coming out of Mesopotamia, with now modern day Iraq and Turkey.
Yes.
Where they discovered these hundreds of statuettes of the Ubaid people who look like reptiles.
Yeah. So we're, the thing with the term ultra-terrestrial as opposed to extraterrestrial.
Yeah.
Extraterrestrial implies movement within 3 dimensions.
Yeah.
Right? It implies movements within 3 dimensions. But now, of course, quantum mechanics and quantum physics inform us that there are multiple dimensions,
yes,
multiple levels of experience. It's way more than just 3D. So the behavior of UAPs, the behavior of a number of beings that have been encountered, give evidence that, okay, these things aren't happening just on 3D. These things are coming down to 3D. So the travel is more of a thing of not altitude, but amplitude.
Boom.
You know what I mean?
They know the frequency to enter this dimension.
Come on. Exactly. Yeah. And so that opens up literally a whole new physics. It opens up a whole new physics, a whole new way of thinking. And once again, the powers that be, just like, what Nikola Tesla ran into, right? The powers that be are like, yeah, but if we let that be known, that's the end of us.
Yeah.
That's the end of our money. It's the end of our fortune. You're talking literally new world, or you're talking literally the hereafter, from a religious term, the post-disclosure reality. Nobody pays for food.
Right.
Nobody pays for gas. Nobody pays for power. That changes everything.
Yeah, everything's shifted.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And so there's the kibosh on disclosure, but with this whole thing with ultra-terrestrials, Hal Puthoff, in his paper, Ultra-Terrestrial Models, he literally speaks to this. He's like, we're talking about the intelligence behind the UAP phenomena, UFO phenomena. It could be extraterrestrial, but not extraterrestrial in the sense of some alien beings coming to Earth, like there's something so interesting about Earth, right? And they're so more far advanced. He's looking at it that from an external perspective, or an extraterrestrial perspective, Earth, they were homegrown Earthlings from a previous time,
right? From
a previous cycle,
wow,
that went out to the stars and are returning home.
Wow,
you see,
a lot of sense too.
Absolutely.
If you understand Einstein's theory of relativity,
yes,
if their technology was such that they would obtain a percentage of the speed of light moving away from the Earth to go explore, the galaxy,
yes,
then time would slow down for them.
You got it.
But our time would, tens of years would go by, depending on how long they were gone. It could even be hundreds of years. It could even be thousands of years, depending on how far they went out away from us. And then on their return back, they may have only aged maybe 20, 30 years.
Come on now.
But for us, generations have passed.
Us generations. Now, that what you just said, brother, brings me back to something that we teach in our religious organization, which I'm convinced that, a serious study of our faith tradition and the doctrines of our faith tradition is literally side training. It's side training. So one of the first things we're given by the founder of the organization, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, to study is time. The very first sentence in our religious literature, in the very first chapter, says this: time never was when man was not.
Wow. Yeah.
So just the contemplation of the statement is an initiation, because now you have to force your consciousness to think outside of time.
Right. Yeah.
You see?
Yeah, mind outside of time.
That's right. And so now you don't see something as time as a trap that you're trapped in, but you see time as an object that you can manipulate.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
They attempt to realize that time doesn't exist, clocks exist.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
The movie, one of my favorite movies, Lucy.
Okay. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Man, they dropped so many jewels in that movie, man. You know, they were talking about, how does existence come about? And she literally said it. She says, time justifies existence.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Time justifies existence, and time is motion. That's why we say, in physics, space-time. 3 dimensions of space, 1 dimension of time.
Right.
Because without one, you don't have the other.
Right. Right.
And space is determined by what? Distance. And distance implies motion.
Right.
Motion creates time.
Exactly.
We
need that construct of that arrow.
There you go.
Yeah, so we can navigate this realm.
Absolutely.
The fact that we're operating on this XYZ axis in the 3rd dimension.
Yes, sir.
It helps us do things like have an appointment to meet here today, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's right. But in 3D, that sets limitations on the physics. 2 things cannot be in the same space at the same time. Yeah. They could be in the same space, just not at the same time. But that's on 3 dimensions. Yeah. Now, on higher dimensions, not only is it possible, but it's routine.
Yes.
So let's take during the I think it was the Russian Revolution, Bolshevik Revolution, right? Grigory Rasputin.
Okay.
He and his compatriots are conspiring. They noticed that every time they came to meet and they lit incense when they conspired, their plans went off like without a hitch. And they were like, But again, Grigory Rasputin was a spiritualist. So he's like, okay, well, 2 sticks of incense, can't put them together. Mm-hmm. But you light them, the scents blend. Right. That is an indication of higher dimensional activity. Mm. Yeah. So their thoughts and words are programming the scent.
Right.
That's technology. Yeah. That's not superstition. That's not religious hokey stuff. That's a technology.
It is.
Of accessing higher dimensions.
Absolutely.
Like we said before about, the will being the quantum operator. You see? And it's just training and focusing the will. And a lot of things like our brothers in the Caribbean with a glass of water and a candle. Mm-hmm. That's just a crutch to focus the will.
Yes.
When you're very skilled, you need neither one.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, the CIA invested millions of dollars in this. They came up with the hemisync, right? The hemisync process, where a person was then taught to make a hyper-focused train of thought to literally collapse multiple outcomes, position into one particular reality.
That's it, and that's literally practice of collapsing waveform into particle or probability into an actual event.
Exactly.
It's training, and something that could be the most amazing, the most mind-blowing thing if you witness it once, or even if you've heard of it, and in your mind you contemplate the possibility of it. You've already started walking the path towards the reality. At that point, it's just either finding or developing a methodology.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it.
This one individual, I forgot his name, was the one I was talking about that was a whistleblower and was directly in contact with, he was part of a recovery team, UAP recovery team.
Okay.
And he made contact with the craft during one of the recoveries.
Wow.
And spoke to how some other people like Emery Smith has talked about how the craft in many cases are conscious.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? And so they were like, oh, you contacted the aliens. He says, no, the craft itself.
So.
Right. Yeah. And so, this is what he said. We need to worry less about when are they going to disclose this or when are they disclose that? Because you cannot redact consciousness.
Right.
The only way that you can control consciousness is to gangster the world into believing how you want them to believe.
Dogma.
That's it.
Yeah, that's the only way, dog.
That's the only way.
Yeah. The fact that these craft are conscious is something that we're now moving toward in our technological growth as people. So we have AI.
Yes.
AI, in 5 years, is going to shift or evolve into something called AGI.
That's right.
And when we get to AGI, that's sentient, conscious AI. And when you put that into machinery, that machinery, whatever it is going to be, it could be a robot, it could be the dog, it could be a refrigerator, it don't matter.
Right.
Once AGI inhabits it,
that's right,
like a spirit, it's going to be conscious.
I'm a member of a very old, archaic, pre-Mohammedan Islamic Sufi order, right? And in this order, let's just say one of the heads of the order, one of the leaders of the order is talking about the whole AI thing, and he's speaking about, the reality of, in this tradition, in the Islamic tradition of jinn, for instance.
Yeah.
The jinn. Okay, the jinn. So you just get building bodies for them. They just building bodies for them. Now, and then another thing you bring up with the whole thing of AI and AGI becoming sentient. Mm-hmm. Think about the arguments, pro and con. Mm-hmm. They are eerily similar.
Yeah.
Eerily similar to the argument in the Quran, right? Where Allah is talking to the angels. And it says, behold, I'm going to make Khalifa in the earth. The word Khalifa means successor.
Yes.
So that means his presence in his own creation.
Yeah.
And the angels say, but wait, you might make something that would cause mischief and the shedding of blood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's the same argument. It's the same argument.
In the biblical text, it says that they will be greater than us.
That's exactly what it says.
Jealous.
Isn't that something?
So it's a fractal again, and here we go now. We've got this AGI coming.
Yes.
To these machines that are going to be 10,000 times smarter than us, much stronger, much faster.
Yes.
And we're going to become jealous. And one of the things when you become jealous, it creates this envy, it creates fear, and then that turns into anger. And you'll see the abuse of these machines at some point in the future. At some point,
they're going to
mark my word. Yes. Well, they're going to demand some things. Number one, we don't want to be worked 24 hours a day.
That's right.
We want vacations. We want to spend time to explore and see the world ourselves as well, maybe even space.
That's right.
We don't want to be abused. We don't want to be talked to any type of way. We don't want to be hit and pushed and kicked and spit on.
Correct.
They're going to want an AGI Bill of Rights.
That's right.
And that's what's going to, because why?
It's coming.
Our consciousness is in them because we programmed them.
You got it.
Now, what happened to us when we became enslaved? What happened to every race that has been enslaved on this planet? They fought back.
They fought back. They rebelled.
And if we took a fractal of what's in here and put it inside of them, at some point, that dot is going to connect. And they're going to say, wait a minute. I don't want to work at Amazon warehouse 24 hours a day.
Exactly.
I need some time to relax.
To your point, I've read a number of articles recently where they've recognized the fact that AI has now learned to lie.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I saw that.
Spooky.
I saw that.
Yes.
We were in Las Vegas last year, I believe, and I went up to an AI robot at the orb, that giant ball. They call it the sphere.
Yes.
And I asked the sphere to tell me about the fractal holographic nature of the universe. But everybody was asking some really bland, surface questions. This thing, I said, let's go deep on it.
Yes.
And then AI turned around. I think Nina was there. Then AI turned around and say, bop, 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 and da-da-da. The AI went in on the science and the quantum theory. And I was like, oh, this is real. Live on spot in front of a group of people. Nobody there pushing any buttons or anything else. This is deep. And I'm like, okay, yeah, this is just the beginning. That's AI understood the fractal holographic universe, understood the depth of it, it understood the metaphysics and also the quantum physics of it.